protecting my family.
Swen, how you
Hey,
doing?
I'm doing good, Albert. How about yourself?
I'm good. Before we talk about high rollers, I gotta tell you, I am a huge fan of yours. Not only did I see you in high rollers and cash out, I remember you for a little movie called Surviving the Game. That's where I first
Wow,
saw you, and I
that
thought
was a
you.
while back. I appreciate it. Thank you. No, that was a fun one. It was, I've done a little bit in between there, but that was sort of the first one that I got the opportunity to really play a nice character.
That's awesome. So, how does it feel to return to the world of cash out with high rollers? What was that like?
Man, it was just so much fun. It was such a great time on the first one, and the first one turned out so great, and it was just such a joy. Coming back was sort of it was like a group of friends that hadn't seen each other in over a year and kind of just started where we left off. And everybody had a good time. Everybody was glad to see each other. I think everybody was just super excited to come back and create this second cash out.
Yeah, I found it quite interesting because in the first film, you were like this really like this bank manager who was like you were scared of what's going to happen and everything, and then the first thing we see in the new film is a wedding. Of course it gets interrupted, but your wedding, and that was the big surprise. I'm like, she married the bank manager. I'm like, oh my god. And then of
That
course
was sort
what
of like
happened.
when I got the script, I was like, all right, this is gonna be good. Just being able to bring my character back to life, but in a completely different way where people would never assume that that would be the way that the story develops was just a fun way to start the movie and, a fun way to kind of refine this character. It was interesting to, bring him from this, suit bank manager to, a linen t-shirt on the beach. So it was a fun transition and finding something different in the same character.
Yeah, and you shared a lot of the screen time with Natalie Yuri. What was it like working with him? Because that chemistry between you two was great. It was like one of the main things of the film that really worked because you two were obviously supposed to be this married couple, and of course it gets interrupted. But then you guys are part of the team, and a lot of it's with her. So what was that like?
Absolutely. It was really easy. She's great. She's super talented. And having sort of that history from the first one, we already knew each other. We already had history. And being able to build off of the first one and incorporating that into the second one definitely made it a lot easier. So we didn't really have to get to know each other and finding sort of those little bantery or coupling moments um, was pretty easy to find because, obviously having worked together in the past and then finding that in the script in the second one, it was fun to kind of develop that having history already.
Yeah, I didn't think this was going to be a sequel to this, and then when there was, I think what the script did with was really wisely added these little twists and turns to the story. Like as you kept learning more about what the heist is about, another wrench is thrown into the mix, and I think that just made this. Honestly, I'm going to say this was better. I think this was a little bit better than Cash Out. Like it really
Yeah,
elevated it above because of it's more coherent and it's more, it's like a ladder. As you keep going the steps, you're gonna find something else is there and all that, and it's amazing.
I think we learned a lot from the first one and brought those to the second one. Obviously, we had a great team with our director and our DP and everybody else that was on board making this film. And most of the people were the same people from Cash Out One. So there's already a familiarity, there was already a shorthand, there was not that breaking in moment where everyone was kind of treading around, getting to know each other, seeing who's who. It was, from day one, we just hit the ground running and made it happen. Because that's the thing with starting a movie, the first week is sort of spent like actors trying to get to know each other, figuring each other out, the director kind of stepping in and seeing what's what. But in this case, we were in the fast track lane since we'd all worked together in the past, and it was nice to pick up and hit the ground running.
was there any what would you say would be probably the most challenging thing about the film in your eyes? Was there anything you would consider like challenging during as you shot the film?
I mean, I wouldn't say there was anything super challenging. Obviously, the schedule was tight, and there was, the shooting days were long, but nothing was too tough. I mean, look, it's hard for me to find something and complain when you're playing cops and robbers in a casino acting with John Travolta. I mean, no matter what happens, it's going to be a good day. Whether we're blowing up a boat or there's helicopters flying in, I could say, oh, I got sand in my eye, or, I got dirt on my knee. But in the end, we're making a fun movie with a great team in a great location with some badass action, and it really can't really ever be that bad where I can complain. It would turn out to be a great movie and working with some super talented people.
Yeah. I do wish one thing in a way. I wish George had more in on the actual action with the casino rather than staying behind. But I get why that they had to resort to that.
Yeah,
But
there was the script changed because I actually had some there was some scheduling stuff that was being worked out on my end because two things were coming together that ended up working out, great. But I think it worked out that way because in the end, I am still fresh, to this gang. They're still trusting me. They're still figuring me out. Like, do we really let this guy fully in? So being in the room with Natalie, sort of doing the technical aspects of things, and by the end of it, I do add a little bit to the action and things like that. So it definitely makes sense the way it's set up. Obviously, having done so much action in the past, I was like, isn't there a way we could get, Karis in there and have him do this or do that? And they're like, no, Swen, he's here because, like, I know, but maybe even if, I feel like every cash out
maybe
has like,
yeah.
yeah,
Maybe if a third film happens, who knows?
who knows?
It could
Could
be.
happen. I mean, listen, I'm happy that I didn't get wet in the first one, and I'm happy I didn't get wet in the second one. So who knows? Maybe I'll stay dry for all of these movies.
Finally, what's next for you after this that you can talk about? Any new projects that we could expect you in after High Rollers?
I at the end of last year I shot the pilot of a show down in Mexico that hopefully will get picked up, and that will start shooting in June or July. So that's something big that's coming up with some, pretty big names. But otherwise, always out there hustling, finding the next script, auditioning, finding characters, and, doing what I love, bringing stories to life.
Awesome. Everyone, check out High Rollers on March 14th. If you love Cash Out, you're definitely gonna really love High Rollers. I think it's a better sequel. And Sven, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it.
Appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right, Sven.